This is State against Damien, number 24 CR 181. Can you guys enter your appearances, please?
Bill Murphy on behalf of the state.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Stevie DeSombre with Joy Gilbert Law on behalf of the defendant, David, who does appear in person.
Thank you, Mr. Somber. Parties ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
Your Honor.
Either party wish to invoke the rule of exclusion?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the defense would invoke the rule of exclusion.
Okay, the rule of exclusion's been invoked. What that means is if you're here to testify in this case, then you can be inside the courtroom when you're testifying and not otherwise. And you can't discuss your testimony among yourselves or with anyone else except the lawyers in the case. So who's your first witness, Mr. Murphy?
Deputy Tyrant Holdwrist.
Okay. Deputy Woolridge, I'm sorry, did either one of you wish to make an opening statement?
I'll make a very brief opening statement if you want, Your Honor.
Do you want me to excuse the witness while he does that? Does it matter?
It does not matter to the defense, Your
Okay.
Honor.
I'm just going to briefly reiterate the criminal complaint. Mr. is charged with obstructing a public officer on or about March 6, 2024. Deputy Tyree was on patrol in the industrial park of Douglas County. He came upon a car that was on a curb with items being taken out of the car. He went to investigate to see if there was any criminal activity afoot. He asked Mr. to provide him an ID. Refused. He asked Mr. to sit down. Refused. And Mr. Did obstruct Deputy Tyree's deputy's investigation as to whether any criminal activity was afoot. So that's very brief.
Okay. All right. You want to raise your right hand? Do you swear under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give is true?
Yes.
Okay, have a seat up here. And tell me your name and spell your last name.
Tyree Holdridge. It's Holdridge.
Thank you.
Deputy Holdridge, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed by the Douglas County Sheriff's Office and assigned to the Patrol Division.
And how were you employed on March 6, 2024?
I was assigned to the Patrol Division, working B2 in the Douglas County, Carson Valley area.
And are you a sworn peace officer in Douglas County?
Yes, I am.
And what credentials did you have to go through or establish in order to become a sworn peace officer in Douglas County?
I went through the Post Academy, where I obtained my post certificate.
Yeah. And were you on patrol on March 6, 2024?
Yes, I was.
And where were you on patrol?
I was on patrol in Douglas County in the middle of town.
Okay. And on March 6th of 2024, did an incident happen that brings you to court today?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Start at the beginning and tell us where you were, and then we'll take it from there.
On March 6th, at about approximately 23 hours, I was patrolling the industrial area of Southgate Drive and Pep Circle.
Okay. Let me interrupt you very quickly. That area that you're describing, is that located in Douglas County?
Yes, it is.
Okay, please proceed.
As I was passing the intersection of Pep Circle and Southgate Drive, I observed what appeared to be two males opening the back door of a blue Honda vehicle. At that time,
Well, let me back up. You said that it was what time at night?
21:23,
What does that mean in civilian time?
approximately 9:30.
Okay. And did the two males taking things out of the vehicle arouse your suspicion in any way?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And as part of your duties as a law enforcement officer with Douglas County, do you patrol the industrial park and look for any criminal activity that might be afoot?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please proceed.
I observed two males that were dressed in dark clothing pulling items out of the back of the vehicle. Because of the area and that it's usually operational during business hours, I made contact with the two males to see if that vehicle belonged to those two subjects or if they were actually attempting to burglarize the vehicle.
And where did you position your vehicle in relation to where the suspect vehicle was?
I positioned my vehicle, I parked in the middle of the street, turned my spotlights on, and I was south of the vehicle.
Okay. And did you exit the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you activate your body cam?
Yes, I
on your body cam, does it activate immediately, or does it take a few seconds, or does it take a certain amount of time for it to start recording?
It takes a certain amount of time.
Okay, do you know what that amount of time is?
I believe it's 30 seconds.
Okay. And when you parked your vehicle, what were you driving?
I was driving a Chevy truck that's fully marked.
When you say fully marked, is that vehicle readily identifiable as a Douglas County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And how is it identified as a Douglas County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle?
It says Douglas County Sheriff's on the side of it.
Okay, does it have lights on the top?
And it has emergency lights and spotlights.
Okay. And when you got out of the vehicle, what were you wearing?
I was wearing a full Douglas County uniform that identified myself as a deputy sheriff.
Okay, is that similar to what you're wearing now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you have the badge,
Yes, I did.
you have the vest,
Yes, I did.
you have the badges on your shoulder.
Yes.
If you could stand up and turn around, please. Okay, do civilians wear that kind of equipment?
No, they do not.
Okay. So what did you do when you get out of the vehicle?
I contacted the two males and asked what they were doing. They told me not to worry about it. I asked them to present their identification to see if the vehicle was actually theirs, because that's what they had said. One person that was there complied with everything. The other person did not.
Let's back up a little bit. So when you got out of your vehicle, did you have a partner with you?
No, I did not.
Did you have any backup coming?
No, not at that time. I did not.
Okay, so is there an extra abundance of caution that as a law enforcement officer you would exercise when you are engaging two unknown people?
Yes.
Okay, so please proceed.
Because I was in a dark, unlit area where there should be nobody, I requested both the two males to sit on the curb so I could figure out what was going on to see if that was their vehicle or their dad's vehicle. One person complied, the other person did not. I asked him for his identification. He told me I didn't need it. He began fidgeting in his pocket and pulled out his phone. I asked him to sit on the curb and he told me he didn't need to. He began reaching in his pocket again, so I grabbed him because I did not know if he had any weapons. It was dark, I was by myself, and I didn't have any backup with me. Went to grab his wrist and he began to pull away, so I took him to the ground.
Okay. Permission to approach the deputy, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Do you recognize this device?
Yes, I do.
What is this?
It's a USB with a video recording.
Do you recognize the white sticker with some writing on it?
Yes,
What is that?
that's my initials.
Okay. Did you view this USB prior to today?
Yes, I did.
And what is this a USB of?
The incident on March 6th.
And is it a true and accurate depiction of the incident that happened on March 6th,
Yes.
2024?
Yes, it is.
And permission to approach the witness, and just to make, so there's no question about authentication, I'd like to show him the video before I publish it.
Is there an issue on authentication?
Your Honor, I do not believe there's any issue with authentication.
Okay. One way.
I move for the admission, well, may I approach the clerk?
Go ahead.
Thank you. You can mark that, please.
You want to put a sticker on it, will you still be able to play it?
Yes. Thank you. Now I move for the admission of State's Exhibit 1.
Is there an objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Are the right buttons still pressed here? Looks like they are.
Yes, so just need that.
I'm gonna leave that one on too.
Do you want the witness one on?
Yeah.
Okay, so Deputy Holdwrist, Do you recognize this video?
Yes, I did.
Is this the video that you previously watched in my office?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And is this the same video that you put your initials on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Having viewed this video, is it a true and accurate representation of what happened on the evening of March 6, 2024?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And if you can identify where this video came from?
It came from my body camera.
Okay. And just to make sure that we don't have an issue with jurisdiction, did this happen, this whole incident happen within Douglas County?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Good, what you guys doing? Is your vehicle? Are you getting have your IDs on you? Not at all?
Turn up the volume.
Yeah, you're in a business area. And it's all closed, and I don't know this is your dad's vehicle. Actually, let's have a seat. Have a seat right here. Have a seat. Alright, I'm listening. Have a seat.
Okay, so let's have a very quick conversation about what's happening here. So there's a person on the right hand of the screen. Is that the person that's in compliance?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a person on the left hand of the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to later identify that person?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you see that person sitting in court today?
Yes, I do.
Would you please identify where they're sitting in an article of clothing that they're sitting? Or wearing?
Sitting next to the defense attorney wearing a black shirt.
Okay. Now, let's talk about why you asked these two people to have a seat. What was the purpose of asking them to have a seat?
I don't know, at the time of the night, where they're at. I don't know if they have weapons on them. They're both wearing dark clothing, covering all their pockets, their waistbands. It's unknown if they are actually committing a burglary or not. It's unknown if they had any weapons. So for my safety, because I didn't have any other backup with me, I requested they sit on the ground until identified, so I can conduct if that was their vehicle or not.
Okay. And the person on the left who you identified as defendant, did that person comply with that command?
No, he did not.
Yeah, a second. You have a seat right here.
I'm listening.
Don't fucking touch
Okay. So what was your rationale for going hands-on with Mr.
The fact that he was fidgeting in his left pocket, he was wearing dark clothing, wasn't obeying commands. I don't know if he has a weapon. There's two of them. There's one of me. So I wanted to be in control at least of one of them.
Okay. And is officer safety consideration when you're encountering two people at night?
Yes.
Okay. So just to back up to make sure I understand your testimony, is you encountered this situation, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were investigating whether there was any criminal activity at first, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was the purpose of asking those people for the identification?
To confirm if they were the registered vehicles of the owner, or if they have the same last name as the registered owner on the vehicle.
Okay, so you attempted to investigate,
Yes.
but Mr. interfered or obstructed your ability to do that investigation.
Yes.
And then you gave him a command to sit on the ground, is that correct?
Yes.
He refused to do so,
Yes.
and at that point he was fidgeting in his pocket, so you decided to go hands-on?
Yes.
And was that an officer safety call?
Yes.
So because of Mr. actions here, when he refused to identify himself and or, well, let's back up.
Dad, put a fucking cuff on me. Get off.
I said get on the ground. Alright?
Put a cuff on me. Get off. You're joking me. Don't even record this shit.
I said get on the ground. I don't know what you're doing.
What did I do
Get
wrong?
on the ground right now.
What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Is your camera on?
Yeah, it's on.
Get the fuck off of me. Ow. You fucking get off.
Roll on your stomach.
No. I'm not listening to you. What the?
Let's pause very quickly there. What was the purpose of you telling Mr. to roll on his stomach?
So I could put him in handcuffs,
Okay, and why did you make the decision to put him in handcuffs?
because I had one other person that was still behind the vehicle.
Okay, so was he under arrest for anything or was he being detained?
He was being detained.
Fuck off of me. Start recording. End the call.
Trey,
End the call. Start recording, please. End the call. Start recording. Yeah, ID number. Give me a fucking ID number. Where's the sheriff?
once again, is that the body cam that you were wearing at the time of the incident?
Yes, it
And
is.
is that a true and accurate representation of how things went down that night?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so just to rehash before I let you go, were you investigating suspicious circumstances?
Yes, I was.
Is it part of your job to investigate suspicious
Mr.
circumstances?
Murphy, this is the third time you've been through this. It's not necessary. It's a trial to the court.
Okay, then I will pass the witness.
Morning. You stated to the state that at the time of this incident at 9:30 in the evening, partially why you approached the situation was because of the fear of what happens at night. Is that correct? Or the fear of not having backup at night?
I don't get your question.
What is the importance of this event occurring at night as far as how you then approach your investigation?
Why I stopped in contact with them?
Do you have any different policies on how you approach an investigation, whether it is daylight or at nighttime?
No, I do not.
So there was no additional danger because this was occurring at night.
There was.
So how do you approach that additional danger?
You spotlight them and you control the subjects.
At what point do you consider that an investigation becomes more dangerous because of lack of daylight? Is it as soon as it becomes dark? Is it at 1 a.m.? Is it at midnight?
There's a lot of circumstances.
Can you elaborate on that?
The time of day, the area they were in. There's two people. They're wearing dark clothing. They're wearing dark clothing that's covering their waists and their hands.
And you said this occurred approximately at 9:30.
Yes.
There's still a significant amount of people out and about at 9:30, is that correct?
Not in this area.
In this industrial area.
No, there's not.
But typically, people are still awake at 9:30. This isn't like it's 1 a.m.
Not in this area, there's not.
I wasn't asking about the area. People are typically still awake and conducting their day-to-day lives at 9:30, correct?
Yes.
How familiar are you with this particular industrial area?
I'm very, very, very familiar.
Are you familiar with Douglas Radiator?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with their business hours?
Yes.
Are you familiar that they work there outside of the scope of 8 to 5?
They usually don't,
And how are you familiar with their business areas?
because I'm friends with the owner.
And when you approach the subjects, do you recall one of the subjects presenting car keys?
No, I do not.
Can we replay the body camera owner? Thank you.
Talk, you guys talk between yourselves. I don't direct that. You have to,
Well, I have,
You can help.
State's
You-
exhibit has already been admitted, State's exhibit
yeah,
one. so
you
she wants to
can
use it,
help
so
her
she's
out.
going to do
You
so.
can help her out, Ms.
Okay.
Murphy. She's not familiar with our
Okay.
AV
I'm
equipment.
not having a problem doing that, boys and soldiers.
And we previously reviewed your body cam footage already in court.
Yes.
If we reviewed the footage, would you recall if either of the subjects presented car keys?
If I wash their hands, I guess so.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. I was asking about the bail hearings. Do we have any bail hearings at 1:30?
Yeah, there's two.
Okay. Do I need to, no, it's still set.
compromising the thumb drive.
Will it play off of this?
Does this computer have another USB?
Because I have my USB as well.
Is there another USB over here? There's not.
No, this won't fit into this. It worked 5 minutes ago.
You have your copy of the file, can you play it?
I do have a copy, Your Honor. I'm just not sure or
Yeah, I don't either.
logistically how it
No, that's why we
operates.
got, they have classes on this stuff. Who's the whiz in our department? Who's the whiz in back here in the clerk's office?
Midday, or we call it.
There it is. It just showed.
Oh, man, there we go.
Here we go. Thank you.
What you guys doing? Your vehicle?
You can probably operate the mouse. You don't need Mr. Murphy to do that for you.
Good, what you guys doing? Is this your vehicle? You guys never got these on you? Not at all? Yeah, you're,
This is the same body cam we reviewed earlier, correct?
Yes.
Do you now see one of the subjects holding up a pair of keys when you
Yes.
approach the vehicle? Did you see those keys at that time?
No, I did not.
Did you recall either of the subjects stating that it was their vehicle?
They stated at it, but if you look at the vehicle, it's not parked in a regular parking spot. It's parked halfway on the street. It could have been stolen. They could have had the keys.
And how did you determine that it could have been stolen?
It's parked in a weird area. People ditch cars in industrial areas.
Did you see them prior to them being at the car?
No, I did not.
Did you take any additional action to ask them about the keys or about their ownership of the car?
I didn't even see the keys.
Did you ask them any additional questions about their car or their
Not after
ownership of the car?
Mr. became uncooperative.
Is there any way you could have identified their legitimacy to the car outside of an identification?
If they would have provided their identification.
Is there any additional way you could have,
There's, yeah,
Legitimized.
I could have.
and how would that be?
They could have complied.
Is there no other investigation you could have taken to establish legitimacy of the ownership of the car?
Once they become uncooperative, it became an officer safety issue. I'm not gonna walk back to my car and turn my back to two people that are wearing dark clothing in a dark, unlit industrial area.
But at this point, what is your reasonable suspicion that a crime is occurring at this?
That they're breaking into a vehicle.
What is the reasonable suspicion for you to have made the determination that they are breaking into a vehicle?
That it's in a dark, unlit business area. The car is parked not in a parking spot. It's parked halfway on the sidewalk. They're not answering any questions. They're wearing dark clothing, and they're in a business area where there's no people.
Do you recall what date this occurred?
Yes,
What is that?
March 6th.
And that is typically a cold time of year, right?
Yes,
Typically a time when people wear sweatshirts.
yes.
Was there anything out of the ordinary that they were wearing sweatshirts?
I mean, I was wearing a short sleeve that night. It wasn't that cold.
But it's early March, and it's typically cold at night.
Yes,
So you determine, based upon dark business area, people approaching a car, that's reasonable suspicion to then identify an investigation of a burglarized car.
yes,
So do you approach people in any dark business parking lot regarding burglarizing a car?
yes, I do.
Any person that is in a dark parking lot
Yes, I do.
at night?
That's my job.
How often are those cars burglarized? When
A
you
lot,
approach a person,
frequently.
can you give a percentage?
You can go to our records and get reports.
Can you ballpark it?
I don't know.
When you approach a subject who is not burglarizing a car and is merely in an after-hours business parking lot, are they typically happy about compliance?
Yeah, of the time.
Well, not 100% because here we are.
Every time I've contacted somebody, they are more than willing to comply to show that it is their vehicle that they're not breaking into. I mean, look at that subject compared to the other subject. The other subject complied, he sat down, he wasn't arrested. This subject didn't comply with verbal commands, and he was arrested.
Did you conduct any further investigation into the ownership of the car following this body cam?
I did after my partners arrived on scene,
And what did you determine?
that the vehicle belonged to the father.
It wasn't stolen.
No, it was not.
It was not burglarized.
No, it was not.
Was my client trespassing?
I don't know.
Were you able to determine was he trespassing?
He was not, later it was, he was not trespassing. But at the time, I did not know that.
Is it safe to say that outside of this charge that we're here on today, that on March 6th of 2024, that my client was not engaged in any unlawful conduct?
Yes. If he would have complied, it would have been a 2-minute contact.
That's not what I asked. Thank you. Are there any Douglas County policies on de-escalation?
Yes.
What are those policies?
If a person doesn't verbally listen to verbal commands, you take the next step up above.
What does that mean?
He didn't verbally comply, so I went hands-on.
And that's the policy of Douglas County,
Yes.
that you go hands-on following any refusal?
Yes. You always stay one step up above what the subject's actions are.
And that's considered Douglas County's de-escalation policy.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the word de-escalation?
Yes.
So, you are testifying that escalating a situation is Douglas County's de-escalation policy?
The time of day, the time of night, what they were wearing, and how he was fidgeting became an officer safety issue if he had any weapons, so I detained him. I'm not gonna sit there and de-escalate and have him pull a gun out and shoot me.
Nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay. Any redirect?
Just very briefly, a question was posed to you about when you make contact with people, potentially in parking lots, after hours, in the dark. Are those people generally appreciative that you're making sure that their cars aren't getting busted into?
Yes, they are.
Thank you for your testimony. I pass the witness.
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Can the witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor, and not subject to recall. I'm not going to use that.
Okay, you're excused. Thank you. Do you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Your Honor. I still have the thumb drive. Does the court want me to give the thumb drive to the court, to the
It's
clerk,
been
or-
admitted in evidence, yeah, it should be.
Or do you want to use
It
it?
should be lodged with the clerk. Do you have any witnesses or
We do, Your Honor. We
evidence?
do have one witness.
Okay.
Would you like me to call him now? It would be Jonathan Hollingsworth, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hollingsworth.
And just to clarify, I have no further statements, Your Honor.
I thought you already said that, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Yeah, please, clerk.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Walk all the way up to the left doors there.
You want to raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give is true?
It's true, Your Honor.
You want to tell me your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Jonathan Hollingsworth. The spelling,
Just the last name.
HollingSworth.
Okay, so Mr. Hollingsworth, you're soft-spoken, I am too, but now I'm old and I got hard of hearing. So sit up there and talk out loud, okay? Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Hollingsworth. How old are you?
I am 38 years old.
And where do you reside?
I live in Reno.
Are you familiar with Damien?
Yes.
How are you familiar with him?
I've known him since he was like 3.
So for a lifetime.
Yeah, he's a family friend.
So you would consider him a friend then?
Yes.
Do you frequently spend time with him?
Off and on, not all the time, but often. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Douglas Radiator? Douglas, I apologize. Douglas Radiator.
Yes.
Do you spend time there?
Yes. I help work on cars there.
And what's Damien's relationship to Douglas Radiator?
He works there off and on too.
When you're there, are you often working with Mr.
Occasionally. Yeah.
Were you at Douglas Radiator on March 6th of 2024?
Yes.
What were you doing at Douglas Radiator on March 6th?
I was working on a car.
Were you there all day?
I was there till about 11 o'clock at night.
And were you with Mr. on that day?
Yes.
Were you working on a car together?
Yes.
What was the plan after you guys completed working on the car?
The plan was to go to the car and grab the bedding because there was a loft in the shop, and that's where we would stay until we could work in the morning.
So I'm gonna back you up a little bit. So you were working on a car.
Yes.
Was that in a shop?
Yes.
That was at Radiator?
It was at
or-
Douglas Radiator.
Douglas Radiator. And then you say you went to a car to get belongings.
Yes.
Was that a separate car than the one you were working on?
Yes.
Was it outside of the shop?
Yes.
In relation to the car you were working on in the shop that you were working at, where was the car that had your belongings?
It was across the street from the building that we were at. It was at the other building. There was 2 buildings.
And was it still parked within the general parking area of
It was
Douglas
on.
Radiator?
It was on Douglas Radiator property.
And who had the keys to that car?
I did.
And did Mr. go to the car with you?
Yes, he did.
And when you got to the car, were you able to find your belongings?
Yes.
And while you were looking for your belongings, did anything out of the ordinary occur?
Yes. We were approached by an officer, and I didn't understand why. And so I proceeded to continue going through the car, and then that's when Damien was tackled.
So you have the keys to the car when you approached the car, correct?
Yes.
Did at any point in time did you attempt to present the keys to the law enforcement officer?
I showed him the keys.
Were you surprised by law enforcement's presence?
Yes.
Was there any reason to believe that you needed law enforcement assistance?
No.
Did you believe that you were participating in any sort of criminal act?
No.
Were you caught off guard by law enforcement investigating the car?
Yes.
Would you say that the circumstances you were unprepared for?
Yes.
And just to reiterate, had that night gone as planned, you were going to stay the evening at Douglas Radiator
Correct.
with Mr.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Murphy,
I don't have any questions on this witness.
you can step down. Can he be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're excused, Mr. Hollingsworth. Thank you for coming in. Do you have anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I'll hear closing remarks.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, on the evening of March 6, 2024, Deputy Holdwrist was on patrol with routinely checking the industrial park, make sure no criminal activity was afoot. He, as the video shows very clearly, it's completely undebatable, is he was patrolling, he saw a car parked in a weird way. It wasn't parked in a parking stall, it was parked on the side street with part of it hanging into the gravel where the sidewalk is. So he did what he is paid to do. He started an investigation. Here we are in the industrial park. It's dark out. Most of the businesses are closed. And here are two people rummaging through a vehicle that's not properly parked. He developed a reasonable suspicion that there may be criminal activity afoot. So he parked his vehicle in a way that he could try and see what was going on. He was in his law enforcement vehicle. He was dressed in...
I forgot to ask him, Mr. Murphy, one of those black pickups with the stenciled sides, or was it a black and white one where you can tell it's a cop car?
When I went through the direct examination, I asked, if there was the markings on the side and if it had the lights on the top, and he acknowledged that they were.
Okay.
So this is a readily identifiable police vehicle. And when we asked about what he was wearing, he said that he was wearing his Douglas County uniform, similar to what he's wearing
Right,
now.
I was here.
Okay. And so he was unmistakably a law enforcement officer. He tried to do an investigation, and he asked them for their identifications. There is always a compromise for officer safety and taking into consideration the feelings of the public when you want to see if a crime is afoot or not. Of course, you don't want to hassle people that are doing nothing wrong, but you also have to make sure that you're going to go home that night and that somebody's not going to pull out a weapon and kill you. So there's a compromise that has to be made. So Deputy Holdwrist started his investigation. He asked him for identification. The last witness, Mr. Hollingsworth, started to comply when they didn't produce their identifications, and Deputy Holdwrist told them to sit down. Mr. Hollingsworth started to do that, but Mr. said, no, I'm not doing that. Well, based on the time of night, the situation that they were in, and Mr. blatant disregard for the deputy's commands, the deputy again said, tried to get him to comply before he went hands-on. Mr. wasn't having any of that. Mr. quite frankly had an attitude, and he says, no, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. So deputy went hands-on. It was a sticky situation, and he did what he had to do to protect himself. As the deputy testified, it was dark, and he could not tell if they had any weapons.
Well, we're
on
not
them.
debating whether reasonable force or not. What we're debating really is reasonable suspicion to interfere with their liberty by asking for identification, correct?
Well, there are two cases that associate that. One
wait a
is the
minute.
Heibel case for the United States Supreme Court that stated that if an officer or law enforcement has reasonable suspicion that a crime exists, then that person is obligated to identify themselves. And that's been codified in the Nevada Revised Statute, which I call the Heibel Statute, which states that if an officer has reasonable suspicion to determine that there is criminal activity, then that person is required to identify
Okay,
themselves.
I understand.
So,
I didn't realize you charged with, but you charged in the alternative and or resisted, right?
that's correct, Your Honor. So, when the deputy was investigating as to whether this car was being burglarized, Mr. completely shut down his investigation.
So let me ask you something, Mr. Murphy. Do you think it supports an obstructing charge if someone declines to identify themselves? Forget about the physical restraint. Forget about the time of day. If a person declines to identify themselves in that circumstance, does that constitute the crime of obstructing?
It does, Your Honor, and
Okay.
because the United States Supreme Court has stated that if an officer has reasonable suspicion and he's investigating a crime, that person is legally obligated to identify themselves. The Nevada
But the
legislature
Supreme
has
Court
codified
case,
that.
the Supreme Court case was in the context of a motion to suppress evidence that was recovered in subsequent to that point. I'm just asking if it's obstructing to not identify yourself.
It is, Your Honor.
Okay.
So the deputy did what he could do. Mr. wasn't going to let the deputy do his job, so the deputy had to go hands-on with him. So because he failed to identify himself, which he is legally obligated to do, and when the deputy went hands-on with him for officer safety reasons, Mr. refused to put his hands behind his back and accept the detainment while the deputy tried to conduct his investigation after the fact. So based on the evidence presented, I've submitted to the court that all the elements of obstructing have been proven and ask that that the court find Mr. guilty of the crime of obstructing.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I would first like to address the question that you addressed to the state regarding identification as a means of obstruction, and our argument would certainly be that identification does not fall under this NRS of 197, because there's a more reasonably applied statute at 199 of identification. The NRS has these two different crime
What's the one in
charges.
199?
And Your Honor, I was just pulling it, the NRS on that case.
Well, I can pull it.
What was that?
Did you find it?
I was pulling it up just now. I
Hold
know
on,
it's-
everybody relax. Don't stand up when I come back. I used to be able to run the computers in this joint.
After hours industrial area, reasonable suspicion to initiate an investigation that would then require my client to identify himself. And that kind of takes us back again to that argument that even if identification is gonna be considered an obstruction, that would have been better charged under the 199. And that under this NRS as charged, failure to identify is not going to rise to the level of obstruction or resisting.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Murphy?
Just very briefly, it appears that this is an argument about reasonable suspicion. So reasonable suspicion is not an incredibly high standard to satisfy. All the court judge or the officer needs is a reasonable articulate suspicion that criminal activity is afoot. It's not probable cause, it's not a hunch. So it's in between. That hunch is, as we all know, is not a legal standard, but as the United States Supreme Court stated in Terry, that, reasonable suspicion is not a hunch. It's a little
I was a little disturbed without, both you and counsel led the witness on these issues, Mr. Murphy. But when I heard him testify without being leading, he was saying, I was trying to find out whether that something was going on.
Right,
And I know that's not only a manner of speaking, but I don't think that police officers have a right to interfere with someone's liberty to find out whether they're doing something wrong. I think they can only interfere with their liberty if they have a reasonable suspicion that something's going on.
And I completely agree with you, and that is the standard. So you can't, this isn't a Cold War era Russia where it says, citizens, show me your papers at random.
Wasn't that kind of what he did?
Absolutely not. What he did is he was on patrol in the industrial park when most of the businesses are closed. He saw a car that was parked in a weird fashion. He saw people taking things out of the car, and he saw that the way they were dressed, they were covered up with their, they couldn't see whether they were armed or not. So based on those circumstances, Deputy Holdwrist did exactly what he gets paid to do, is he investigated those suspicious circumstances. So even, and now just hypothetically speaking, even if that car were parked in a marked stall in between two white lines, he would still be justified in investigating to make sure he saw items being removed from that vehicle at night in the industrial park where most of the businesses are closed. It sparks suspicion to think, why are these people taking items out of a car that's parked in the industrial park when it's closed? That in itself is reasonable suspicion. Add that on top of the fact that the way the car was parked in a weird way, he had a duty to investigate. That is what he gets paid to do, to make sure that the vehicle was not being burglarized. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. This wasn't some arbitrary fascist dictatorship that said, search everybody and see if they're up to no good.
Well, that's what their argument is, though, isn't it? It's that once somebody says, this is our car, the inquiry is over, and I don't have to show you my ID or tell you what I'm doing.
And there
Isn't that what she argued?
That's what they're arguing, but based on the testimony.
But if he did show
Holdwrist.
her the keys, if he said, wait, this is my car, everything's okay, it's our car, at that point, what reason is there to proceed with the investigation?
Because based on the way the encounter went down, the way you demonstrated is the way that it wasn't testified to that happened that way. But your way is a very calm, articulable way to say, hey, this is our car, we're not breaking into anything, but that's not what happened. He testified that he did not see any keys. He testified that he didn't hear
Well,
anything about this dark
he
car.
didn't see it because he was trying to maintain control of the situation, and his focus was on the individuals,
Perhaps, but the,
or else he's
we can't
misremembering the situation.
But what we can't do is we can't put evidence where evidence doesn't exist. What he testified to, what Deputy Holdwrist testified to, is he didn't see the keys. He didn't know that anybody or hear that anybody identified that as being their vehicle. He was there and he proceeded based on the situation and the knowledge that he obtained. Even if Mr. whose name I forget now, Hollingsworth, did jingle his keys and said, "This is my car." If the deputy didn't hear it, the deputy does not have that information to process to take into consideration. So the deputy proceeded exactly how he was supposed to proceed. This wasn't a random stop of somebody at random, and I think the best analysis is the United States Supreme Court did in Terry, where there was a person who understood that people that are casing establishments tend to walk back and forth, and they get together and they have a conversation. And
That was in the context of that particular case, Mr. Murphy.
true, but I think
They announced a rule. They gave that as an example of articulable facts, but they didn't say that you had to have that same circumstance in every case.
that's absolutely correct. But I think it's it's analogous to our case in the sense that here's an officer that's on patrol in an area that is closed and it's dark. I know I sound like a broken record.
There was a case
but
in
it's
there was a
officer
case in
in Terry.
Reno about 40 years ago when marijuana was still a felony, and there was two young men passing a cigarette back and forth at Wingfield Park in downtown Reno at night. And the officer came over and did the same thing that happened here, and they were both arrested for possession of marijuana. It went up to the Nevada Supreme Court and said just because someone's passing a cigarette back and forth at night doesn't mean they're committing a crime or that there's reasonable suspicion. The reason I'm bringing that up to you now is because because somebody's unloading a car doesn't mean that there's criminal activity. So you have to get into the further circumstances.
And I agree.
But once they satisfy them, once he satisfies himself that there's no criminal activity, then there's no need to continue and maintain control.
That would be the case.
But wouldn't it be totally subjective?
Well, if we got to that point, but the point being is Deputy Holdwrist
I'm
never
wondering
got
if he got arrested because he was being a jerk instead of because he was doing something wrong.
No, because the deputy did testify today that if he had just shown his identification, he could have run the vehicle and made sure that there was no criminal activity afoot. He would have been out of there in, I quote, 2 minutes.
Right.
So, it was not Deputy Holdridge's ambition to just hassle people. He was...
Oh, I'm sure he wasn't trying to hassle him. I agree with you 100% on that.
And so the analysis I agree with you as far as just seeing somebody unload a car isn't necessarily in of itself a reasonable suspicion, but there are always circumstances surrounding that. Nothing is in a vacuum. So just say 2 people unloading a car by itself, I would agree with the court that in of itself is not reasonable suspicion. But I don't think that can only exist in a vacuum. There are always things going on around that a human using their common sense, and especially with law enforcement training, could do an analysis and say, is this something I should be concerned about or something not? So, if it was somebody unloading a U-Haul and taking stuff into their house, you don't necessarily have to investigate. That's a normal thing that you would see. Somebody in a closed industrial park at night, just the way they were.
Well, it's not closed,
it's
it's open to the public.
Pardon me?
It's not closed, it's open to the public. Those are public
Well, a lot of the
streets.
businesses were closed.
Okay.
And the way the car was parked, Deputy Holdwrist was absolutely within his authority, and he was doing his job properly by investigating. And Mr. Webb impeded or obstructed that investigation by refusing to identify himself and by refusing to go into detainment once Deputy Holdwrist made the determination that detainment was necessary.
Okay, this is somewhat difficult for me, but not too difficult. First, I have to tell you, I've never understood why every circumstance like this has to result in prosecution for a crime. At the same time, I have to tell you that the reason you're here today and the reason you got arrested is because of the way you were acting out there. And if you don't know that now, and if you can't hear me, I'm telling you that. And if you think you're going to sue these guys, because I'm going to let you go in a minute, I'm going to find you not guilty. I don't think they've proven that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But I can tell you this, if you think you're going to sue these guys, you got another thing coming. Because the only response, and I have a brother-in-law who acts exactly the same way you did, although he grew up poor and Mexican in Las Vegas. But he's got a chip on his shoulder about the cops, and the minute they talk to him, he turns into a jerk, and he starts giving them lip and telling him he's not going to do this and swearing at him. And it's a wonder he hasn't been taken to the ground and thrown in jail half a dozen times. And if you keep doing that, you're going to go to jail a half a dozen more times. So I'm not saying you did the right thing or that the officer did the wrong thing. I'm saying that under constitutional standards, I think he had a reasonable suspicion that criminal activity was afloat. And I think he had a right to approach you and ask you who you were and what you were doing. I can't find beyond a reasonable doubt that you committed a crime in the way that you didn't comply with his direction. I can't find that. But I'm not going to say he did the wrong thing or that you did the right thing, and I hope you can hear me. This case doesn't need to go any further. I hope you learned a lesson, and I really don't care if you didn't, but I'd hate to see this go any further. Those guys are out there trying to keep people from stealing stuff, and there have been burglaries out there, and you know there have been. And if he goes out there and asks somebody what they're doing and who they are, and they tell him, then that's the end of it. And I don't think we're turning into a fascist dictatorship because the police do that. I think that they believe that they're doing their job. One of the things I hate about our modern era, and Mr. and I both grew up at a time when this maybe wasn't so true, is the militarization of law enforcement. And they feel they're under threat, and they have a good reason to because of circumstances that occur. And so if they ask you who you are and what you're doing, just tell them. And then you don't have to worry about coming to court and hiring lawyers and worrying about what's going to happen next. Anyway, you're not guilty. The bail's exonerated. And thank you both, counsel, for
Thank you, Honor.
excellent legal work for both of you.
Thank you, Your
Thank you,
Honor.
Honor.
Now, I'm not going to proceed